The 24-25 FAFSA is changing. I'm Cassie Benedict, Director of Outreach Services.
And I'm Keith Ritchie, Assistant Director of Outreach Services for the Kentucky Higher Education Assistance Authority.
Today, we're going to talk about the 10 biggest changes coming to the FAFSA.
We're used to the FAFSA opening October 1st each year, but due to the changes, this year it will not open until December of 2023. We don't know an exact date yet, but it will open in December. It's okay to wait until January to file when you can get help from your school or your outreach counselor.
If you filed a FAFSA before, a lot of the terms we're used to hearing have changed. A couple of important ones are contributor and FAFSA submission summary. A contributor is anyone who is required to contribute information on your FAFSA. That's you, the student, potentially your parent, another parent, or a step-parent, or a spouse if you're an independent student. The FAFSA submission summary is what you receive after you've completed your FAFSA to help you know important information, notifications, alerts. It used to be called a student aid report or a SAR.
You'll want to create your FSA ID early. In fact, you'll want to set it up several days in advance of filing your FAFSA. If you already have one, get in there and check it. And if you haven't added an email address yet, you'll need to do that. Super important to have an active, functioning email address that is not tied to a high school, a college, or a place of work. If your parents don't have social security numbers, they can create an FSA ID using their tax identification number, or it will walk them through some questions to verify their identity. This process won't open until the FAFSA does. And there are some situations where both of your parents will need FSA IDs.
Speaking of parents, students should include the parent who contributes the most financial support and has contributed the most financial support over the last year. If you're not sure, the FAFSA has a parent wizard to help you determine whose parents' information you should include.
You'll need to give consent to access tax information via the direct data exchange. Anyone who files taxes separately must give consent. If you filed a FAFSA before, good news, there are fewer questions. The process has changed slightly, so now you'll log in and complete the student portion of the FAFSA and invite other contributors, such as your parents or spouse, to complete their portion. You should be aware, though, that once a contributor has started a FAFSA, the other contributors have 45 days to log in and complete their portions before the FAFSA is deleted. You'll get email reminders, but if your FAFSA happens to be deleted due to inactivity, you can always log back in and start the process again. Don't worry, there are onboarding prompts that will help you understand the whole process and how to participate in each step.
In the past, students were given an EFC, expected family contribution, upon completion of the FAFSA. Now you will receive an SAI, or Student Aid Index. This number is not how much we think you can pay toward your college education, but rather just an index that helps us determine your eligibility. Mostly, you don't have to worry about that number. Your college will take care of everything at that point.
On the FAFSA, you may be asked some questions about your assets. If you have filed before, there are changes to what you're required to report. First off, assets still include checking, savings, cash on hand, investments like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and property you don't live in. Now, if you're required to report assets, you must include the net worth of your family farm, excluding the portion where your house is if you live on it, and the net value of businesses, regardless of the number of employees. This year, if you're reporting 529 educational savings, you only have to report how much your parents have saved for you specifically rather than your siblings.
It is projected that 60% of all FAFSA filers will be eligible for a Pell Grant. That's free money to help you pay for college. Of that 60%, 40% will be eligible for the maximum amount of Pell.
There have been some changes in the calculation which both increase and potentially decrease eligibility, and it may affect whether or not you get a Pell Grant. For most students, your eligibility will be increased, but for some students who have received a Pell Grant in the past, you may notice you've lost your Pell Grant. Returning college students, if that happens to you, good news. You can talk to your aid office. They may be able to help you.
What hasn't changed? There's help. Contact Kia if you have any questions, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for important updates and reminders on what's to come for the 24-25 FAFSA.